Okay, guys, we're going to cover a few things tonight, and we're going to kind of turn some questions over to people that tune in. If people tune in, we're going to talk about a little conspiracy theory. We're going to look at some things, and we're going to see exactly how conspiracy theories can be created, and we're going to look at the deceiving portions of how people repeat and say things over and over again, and we're going to try to keep it as calm as possible without getting too worked up, right? So that's kind of the gist of what's going to be going on right now. I'm just trying to wait for some people to tune in, a little audience to build, if it even builds. Sometimes, there we go, we got one person. So I'm going to try to share this to the other groups real quick to get as many people here as I possibly can, and then we're going to roll. So unfortunately, there's a gentleman that's decided he wants to create his own conspiracy theory about what's going on with the Coronavirus Relief Act and stuff. And I'm doing good, Javier. How are you? I haven't seen you in a while. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you guys directly tonight, and I'm going to show you a little video from this guy, and then I'm actually going to take you to HR 748, the CARES Act, and then from there we are going to break down exactly what happened. So let's give it a few seconds. Somebody shared a video with me on why the coronavirus was planned over a year ago. And I'm not saying it's not planned, and I'm not saying it is planned. But what I'm saying is it's a little ridiculous for somebody to make the video that they make and try to deceive people. And then people sometimes don't have the knowledge base to go search where these things come from. And in the videos, they move so fast that it's very easy to get kind of drawn into everything and believe what they're saying. So I'm going to slow it down, and I've taken the time now over the last couple hours, today, yesterday, to kind of look at some things. It didn't take very long to put it together to see exactly what this guy is doing. But he created, I don't know the gentleman's names. Maybe one of you have seen the video before, but it's a video that's being shared around Facebook. And if I pull it up for you, let's go ahead and watch the video now. I'm going to screen share with you. Let's go here, and then we'll watch the video, and then we'll discuss what's going on. I may stop it in between to talk to you so you can see exactly what's up. I shared this live feed that I'm doing right now in 2 other groups that I wanted to be able to have access to this. We will share screen, Chrome tab. I'm going to go on Facebook because that's where the video was shared to me. And this is what the video looks like that's kind of being shared all over Facebook. Can you please tell me if you can see the video clearly? I may have to play this on my phone because somehow the audio settings on my computer, I'll play the audio from my phone, but let's see if you can hear it anyway. Something's messed up with the computer to where it's not as loud anymore. So we will go back to Facebook here, and let's just play the video. Let me know if you can hear it, because I'm going to come back in about 30 seconds and check the volume. I'm going to lower the camera just a hair to see if that, because the volume settings are on the side of the camera, and I'm going to play this, and let me know if you can hear it completely.
Government and World Health Organization sources. Let me ask you this question before I start. When is the CARES, or Coronavirus Aid Relief and Economic Security Act, written? You would think that it was written after the so-called pandemic. Let me show you something. This is from the Associated Press. This video right here is from March 27th, 2020, where it says Trump signs $2.2 trillion stimulus package. And we're going to see that this stimulus package is HR 748, the CARES Act, the coronavirus.
Can you even hear what? Okay, so you can hear it. Everybody's good. They can hear it. So we're going to talk about Brian from High Impact without me knowing that it's Brian from High Impact. And I'm going to show you how easily misconstrued Brian has taken people and led them to believe that something is something that it's not. And at least what I can do is I can show you how easy it is. Even if Brian's genuine, Um, well, I'm going to, Kelly, I don't want to get into like a little battle of going back and forth. I'm going to show people using his video how easy it is to deceive people. And we're going to move forward from there because this is a very important video to show how conspiracy theories are birthed just by somebody, as I was clearly saying before you chimed in, can make a mistake or fictitiously create something. That doesn't take away from the point of this video. So I will continue forward, and Kelly has now clearly said, which I'll put it up on the screen, that he's already renamed it, but we're going to continue forward because nobody else has cleared this up to the extent of what I'm clearing it up that I've seen so far. So we're going to see at this point how conspiracy theories could be birthed and how they could grow and fester just because of a simple mistake. As I said, I'm going to continue because that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to show you, which I have clearly titled here, without even bringing up somebody's name before it was mentioned, how these things are birthed. So in this video, he goes back and forth and he talks very quick and he references different dates since 2019, right? So there are some people that want me to make this video. One of the gentlemen at work had brought this up to me and asked me if this is true. I'm going to cover it anyway. People can like it or not like it. It doesn't matter. The show will go on. So this continues.
Virus aid, relief, and economic security. Watch this. Well, thank you very much. It's a very important day. Aside the single biggest economic relief package in American history, and I must so it's the single biggest economic relief package in American history. You would think that would be as a response to, it's written as a response to after the certain pandemic is taking place. Say, or any other package, by the way. It's twice as large as any relief ever signed. It's 2.2 billion, but it actually goes up to 6.2 potentially trillion dollars.
Okay, so you see, he made the mistake of billion to trillion there. Now this is WhiteHouse.gov. This is the actual transcription of everything that we're going to hear Trump say. I'm not going to play this entire thing, but I'm going to show you this mistake. But it actually goes up to 6.2 potentially billion trillion dollars. So that's everything that he says, and I want to show you this right here real quick. But I want to thank Republicans and Democrats. This is what Trump says in this video right here, dated March 27th, which corresponds with this at WhiteHouse.gov. Remarks by President Trump at the signing of H.R. 748. Remember that. It's going to be very important here in a second. Signed when? March 27th. That corresponds with this date, this upload by the Associated Press, March 27th. The reason I'm making a big deal out of this is because we're talking about H.R. 748. We are not talking about another bill. Trump did not sign another bill. He signed H.R. 748. That's going to be real important in about a minute. So he says this. I want to thank Republicans and Democrats for coming together, setting aside their differences, and putting America first. You don't put America first when you sign a $6.2 trillion corporate/banker bailout, which is exactly what this is. This is not a stimulus for the American people. This is a corporate/banker bailout. But when was this bill introduced? When was it written? It had to be after the pandemic came along, right? Because this is a natural response to what happens after the fact, right? Watch this. World Health Organization says a pneumonia of unknown cause detected in Wuhan, China was first reported when? To the World Health Organization country office in China on 31 December 2019. All right? When was it declared a public emergency? The outbreak was declared a public health emergency of international concern on 30 January 2020. So when was H.R. 748 introduced to Congress? You would think it would be after January 30th, 2020, right? I mean, it'd be ludicrous to come up with a Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act before coronavirus was ever on the scene, for
I mean, this is from congress.gov. You can look this up for yourself. Everything that I'm talking about in this video, I'm going to put all the links in the description and in the pinned comment, so you can look this up for yourself and share it with your family and friends who've been deceived by what we're seeing today. Check this out. HR 748, going back to whitehouse.gov. HR 748, the CARES Act. What does CARES stand for? Look at this. Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act. HR 748, he signs HR 748. He signs it on March 27, 2020. When was it introduced? Oh, check this out. Introduced 1/24/2019. A full year, a year and 2 months before he sits down at this desk and signs it during a pandemic. Why do we call it a pandemic?
Okay, so right here, what we have is well, I get, Kelly says, I see why you're making the video, just don't want it to seem as Brian did this to deceive anyone. He left it up to show people he can get things wrong. You always need to do your own research. So Kelly, it took me, I'm not asking, guys, let me do my video, please. I mean, you guys have been subscribed to me for some time, and you know I like to get on track and I like to stay with it. Maybe the guy made a mistake by making this, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you how easy this stuff is birthed, and I'm getting distracted because it's like we're trying to play who agrees with who here, and that's not what this video is about. I need to stay on track with this. So this is how easy it is. It took me all of 15 minutes to actually figure out this wasn't real, but it took me a couple days of coming back to it. And I'm not sure maybe if Brian just didn't look or troubleshoot things the way I troubleshoot things, but it literally took me just a matter of minutes to figure out that this was not legit. And I wanted to come back over a couple hours in a few day period and try to put my thoughts and stuff together before I sat down to do this, to show you guys what the actual HR 748 Act actually was. So with that being said, I'm going to stop screen sharing here, and I'm going to bump this over to the actual listing that anybody can find of HR 748, the actual tracking and date stamping that's a little bit easier for people to see. Go back to share screen, Chrome tab. Which one do I want to be in? Here. Okay, so here's a GovTrack site, right? HR 748, Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. This is why it's kind of difficult for me to believe that. This is why it was difficult for me to believe it to begin with, because once I started reading it, I could see here on the right that there's 6 different versions to this HR 748 in general. And I seen the fact that there were several different dates referenced and going back and forth and bringing up very, very hard points as if they're like, remember this, remember this, remember this, remember this. And I'm like, wait a second, I want all that out of my head completely. And I want to go back to the beginning when it was introduced, January 24th, 2019. What was this about? And then I scroll down here and I look. Okay, HR 748, it was the first session. It was Mr. Courtney for himself, Mr. Kelly, yada, yada, all these people. A bill to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to repeal the excise tax on high-cost employer-sponsored health coverage. Short title, the act may be cited as the Middle Class Health Benefits Tax Repeal Act of 2019. So this is something, is Chapter 43 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 is amended by striking Section 49801. And it was put in place at the beginning of January to make a change, right? And this is just basically giving you some, in general, the term applicable employer-sponsored coverage means with any respect to any employee. Coverage under any group health plan may be made available to the employee by an employer which is excludable from the employee's gross income under Section 106, or would be so excludable if it were employer-provided coverage within the meaning of such Section 106. So it goes through and it kind of explains where the changes and stuff are looking to be made, what it's about. The table of sections in Chapter 43 of such code is amended and striking the item relating to the section of 49801. So then I said, you know what, this looks like they were actually trying to do something good. They were trying to change something that they potentially seen was an issue, and it was an old, outdated act of some kind. They were trying to change something in benefit to the people, right, the middle class. That was January 24th, 2019. If you bump forward to July 17, 2019, it passed the House. So it basically the same thing, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to repeal the excise tax of high-cost employer-sponsored health coverage. And then it kind of goes through, same thing again. It passed the House. Passed the House of Representatives, July 17, 2019, clerk. So we scroll back up here, and you can look. July 22nd, 2019, placed on calendar in Senate. Basically, same thing again. July 18, 2019, received, read the first time. July 22nd, 2019, read the second time and placed on the calendar. And then again, it states what the act is all over again. You know, they kind of go through the review process and stuff like that to see what happens. And it moves forward. March 25th, 2020. Passed the Senate. Okay. So passed the Senate, and now all of a sudden it's the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. When you get into this, the amendment, that bill from House of Representatives, H.R. 748, entitled An Act to Amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to repeal the excise tax, high cost of employer-sponsored health coverage, do pass with the following: strike all after the enacting clause and insert the following. They said at this point, this H.R. 748 is no longer about any of that anymore. Strike it all. It's gone. It's no longer in this. The act may be cited as the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, or the CARES Act. So at this point, you had a bill that had already progressed so far forward. And I'm not saying it's not an important bill, but when you conglomerately come together and you have Republicans, Democrats, the House, the Senate, all these people that know this is an emergency, this is a pandemic that everybody's going through, and they need something to pass right now quick, it was perfect to say, you know what, this is probably one of the least important ones for right now, and we need to get this passed and put on paper. Let's nix all this right now and just put this in this act because it's already went through everything. We all already agree with the situation and how to handle this right now. Let's put this in this act. Let's get it passed. Let's get the people their money. Let's get this relief out there to the companies and stuff like that. Well, the short of the story is, it took me about, I don't know, 15 minutes roughly to just go through this and look, and then kind of a few days of thinking about what I'm going to say, how to approach it. Do I want to be a jerk about it? Do I want to be really nice about it? Maybe people make mistakes. My main focus here is to show you exactly how easy this is for somebody to make a mistake or actually create a conspiracy to say, hey, isn't it kind of odd that President Trump signed this bill a year after it was put in place? Isn't it kind of odd that it went from being a 1986 medical act trying to update something, make it easier on the middle class people, to throw some coronavirus stuff in there and just create a conspiracy out of it? Do you see how easy that is? Do you see how easy it is to misconstrue what was wrote there, and how it is to twist all that stuff around and it took me literally 15, maybe maximum, and it's not even, I mean, I literally sat here, but it was more along the lines of trying to think of where I wanted to go with this video. And the main purpose here is to try to teach people how to do their own homework, how to look at things from a different way, a different perspective, how to see exactly what's going on. Are people telling me the truth? Are they being honest with me about things? Should I just believe the next nice conspiracy theory video that pops up along Facebook Messenger or Facebook or Google or something like that because it fits my cause? And I would love to use that, and I just go ahead and share it and spam it to everybody because I think it's real. You know, I wanted to do this because somebody that I care about is close to me shared this video with me and said, hey, will you check this out? And I said, absolutely, I will. And you know, it's just a mistake that somebody made, that could have easily been turned into a big giant, well, that's still being shared as it's factual, even though the creator of the video has already said he made a mistake, you know, by the subscribers that I have that had commented. He's already retracted his statements, but left it up to show people how easy it is to get something wrong. Now, if we go to the actual text from the 116th Congress, it says right here, to amend the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 to repeal the excise tax on high-cost employer-sponsored health coverage, be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of Congress. It says that this act may be cited as the Coronavirus Aid and Relief Act, or the CARES Act. The table of contents shows exactly what's in here: loan forgiveness, direct appropriations, minority business development agency definitions, paycheck protection program, the PPP loan program, the entrepreneurial development. It's all listed in here. You can click on each one of them individually to actually see what each one of them mean. But this was a way for me to explain to people exactly how these things can be misconstrued and taken and made people look bad, when people just don't know how to take just 10, 15, 20 minutes just to look things up, just to actually follow the trail, look back into what's there, so you can actually see exactly what's going on. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and back out of this here. And there was a section that specifically, I lost it now. There was a section that specifically targeted what we were looking at. And it specifically stated that that whole entire section is now null and void. Let me close all this out. So the main reason why I did this was just to show you how easy it is to create some conspiracy theory. How if you're good enough with your words and stuff like that, if you can make people believe based on really iterating the bold way that you pronounce certain words, titles, point certain things out, pause on things, move on from things, go back to it to reiterate what you were saying, and then jump forward and say, there's my proof. Then we look at it and we're like, well, wait a second, this is crazy. You know, just like the debunking video I just did on the whole police officer thing, where they were saying Officer Greg Anderson is not even a real police officer. He's a Freemason. He's all this stuff. He's just worried about money and all this other stuff. Well, I was like, well, if you really think that he's not a police officer, why don't you call up the police station and ask them? It takes all of 30 seconds to do it, and you can have your answer immediately. I called up the police station, and there was an answering service for him because so many people were calling that specifically stated Officer Anderson is on administrative leave based on some investigation stuff that's going on and social media stuff. It's like people just don't take the time to look and see. Well, I don't really think it's so much that people are looking into things extra. I think people are seeing something pop up on social media, and even me as a Republican, I find that there are just as many Republicans as there are Democrats that love just any kind of information or video bit that represents their cause. And I see a lot of Republicans that say they're trying to hold themselves to another standard, a more truthful standard and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, no, you don't. There's a lot of you that are just as bad as the people that you talk against. Anything that comes your way that can support your agenda, you don't do the research. You don't look into it to see if it's true. Somebody just shared President Obama's speech in, what was it, like Sweden or something like that, where he was talking about people not being able to think for themselves and, the elite controlling things and everything else. I just shared a video with our mayor here, Lightfoot. I really don't care for these people, don't get me wrong, but I do still stand for the truth. And they had taken a segment of the video, and I wanted to prove how easy it was to make somebody look bad. and they had took only a segment of the video that was talking about people needing to be controlled, people needing to answer to somebody, people needing to basically clock in where they are, where they're not at, where they're going, what they're saying, what they're doing, somebody that will adhere to the standards of a new society and policy or something like that in more of a sheep type way. They had taken that section of the video out and used it against her, and I was like, wait a second, this is not even what was said. If you go back and you watch the video footage from start to finish, she was talking about leaders and people that are in empowering positions using people and wanting to lead in something like that and it not being right. The same thing with the Obama video when he was in Sweden. I don't really like the guy. I don't like either one of them. But I do have to say that I like to stand up for what's truthful and what's not truthful. There was nothing in that video that he talked against people because they cherry picked that video. They edited the section of video out and they put it on and they shared it with people all over social media. And they said, this is fact. This is what he said. Actually, that's not what he said. He said that, but he said it with a lot of stuff before it that led into what he was saying. And you guys are making him out to be something, well, in that specific section, you're making him out to be something that he's not. People just don't do the homework. They don't do the research. And they like to put this stuff on social media and they don't realize that it's very, very distasteful. It's very unnerving whenever people don't know how to do just 5 minutes worth of work, 10, 15 minutes worth of work. They'd rather believe that somebody did the work for them because it's got that ooh, ah, glamorous effect, a shocking effect, instead of actually saying, well, let me go look at this for myself. Let me see if this is actually legit. People just don't do it. And it's so easy to birth a conspiracy theory. Do your homework, people. Do your homework. Anybody have any questions or anything that they want to add to this before I get off of here? I just wanted to cover this HR 748 tonight to show you that it's not as some people think it is. And even though the guy that made the video has retracted his statements and said he made a mistake, I still wanted to cover how easy it is to create a conspiracy theory. Nothing against this guy. I have nothing against him at all. And until his name tonight, I didn't even know who he was. I was just coming on here to make a general video on how easy it is to birth a conspiracy theory and actually be very believable in the process of doing it. It's so easy. There are people that are so on edge and hungry for any kind of relief from what's going on right now, they will believe anything that people tell them. I agree with this 100%. The problem we have right now is social media is so destructive. Thanks, Mark. The problem we have right now is social media is so destructive. And there are so many key players that are in higher roles of who owns social media, the platforms and stuff that we talk on. And we're so used to the nice fluffy actions, you know, the groups, the games, how easy it is to find people on Facebook and all, and YouTube and Google, that we're almost scared to go to other platforms like, you know, LBRY or Discord, whatever it may be, to actually start following people, because then you have to learn a new platform all over again. And there's a lot of our older generation that has taken the time to learn these different platforms that they're on now to communicate and see the family and stuff like that, you know, with you in general. They don't want to go to another platform and relearn all that stuff over again. You know, I'm on Discord now. I just went on Discord not too long ago, and I'm trying to figure it out, adding some friends here and there. And it's like, dude, do I really want to start all this over again? Do I really want to build up another fan base all over again, or some kind of family subscriber content where I can come on here and just dump myself out, pour my heart out to you guys, and then have to start all over on another platform? I mean, I've done that before. I've created several Facebook groups where I've had 30, 40,000 people and then have to end up leaving. It's kind of like, I don't know about LBRY yet. I still haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. I want to try LBRY, but I haven't done it. I haven't really made that step yet. You know, and then some people said, why don't you get off YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff in general and just go straight to Apple Podcasts? There's tons of people that will listen to what you have to say. You know, it's kind of one of those things that starting over is scary. You know, being on these big platforms where people can make up anything and almost make it out to be the truth. There was one girl on one of the government pages that's kind of like against Bill Gates and everything else. She posted a video of Obama in Sweden, and I said, it's kind of bad that you seem like you hold the position that you do as a truth seeker. You want to tell people the truth, no matter if it hurts their feelings or not. But yet, the couple times that I've seen you share things so far has been very fictitious, very false, and very cherry picked. So I'm not trying to call you names or anything, but I do feel like as a good, decent, honest human being and a very proud Republican in general, that I would think I could tell another Republican that you're full of shit in a nice way. And that's what I told her. I said, you post a lot of fake stuff. You post a lot of cherry picked fake stuff. And you try to make people believe. And it's time that some of us start standing up to even the people that are supposed to fit in our own camp and say, that's not what we're about. We're not about taking advantage of people and creating these fictitious images of things that you think are true in life or want to be true in life, but they're not. President Obama did not say that stuff. There was a whole message before that. I don't really care for the guy, but I don't want you to be lying about things either. And, she got mad. She got very, very upset. I actually went and found the full entire video footage from Sweden and shared it with people. And people were like, yeah, dude, you obviously are lying here, because when you watch the whole video, that's not what he said at all. You just took a small section of it and made him out to be I don't like him. I'm not going to get into my reasons why I don't like him. I liked his wife. I think maybe there were certain times where his wife was trying to do more for the youth than he was, but then she didn't even follow through on the stuff that she said she was going to do for the health programs and stuff at the school. So it was, you make do with what you have. And right now, I will be voting for President Trump. He so far has made me feel the most comfortable as a president, and I know some people don't like to hear that. But whenever something is said about him like this, to where it's making it seem like he's the bad guy, and even though it was a mistake, when I watch this, I'm thinking to myself, if I was the person on the other end that did not know how to research things, and I seen President Trump signing a bill, HR 748, and I'm a diehard follower of his, and this bill was supposed to be about the coronavirus, but I can look and see that some other guy showing me dates all the way back to January of 2019, way before all this happened, I would almost feel like I was deceived, like I was hurt, like maybe I was duped and I was following the wrong person. So it's very critical to be able to do some of those researching skills and stuff like that, just basic stuff, to figure out is what you're being told true. So that's why tonight I said, you know what, I know a lot of people that have questions about this right now, that things have not been cleared up for them. So I would like to clear that up for them, to let them know the CARES Act was put in place because this act, the original HR 748, had already been approved by House and Senate, set on the calendar and stuff. So everybody was pretty much in agreement from the beginning that, hey, we need to get this relief money out to people. They're not making money. They're at home. They can't pay their bills. We got to do something quick. Oh, wait, here's an act, HR 748, that's already been passed all the way through. Can we pretty much consecutively agree that this is probably not a serious act, and we can mess with this right now and go ahead and strike everything that's in it and put the CARES Act in it? And can we all agree across the board that it's approved and get this on through so we can get people their money? Yeah, we think that's probably a good idea. Let's go ahead and everybody sign off on it. Let's get this money out to people. Let's get this money out to the businesses, the paycheck protection programs, the different small business loans, things of this nature. And it seemed to be a conglomerate agreement that this is a good act to push aside, and we can come back to it at a later time. And that's what it was all about. What about him talking about using the National Guard and ordering of more than enough vaccines? I want to get more into this, what I would like to talk more about with this, not so much Trump right now, but the governor in Washington that's telling people you are basically going to adhere to the HR 6666 Act, the Trace Act. Well, I was talking about how easy it is to create a conspiracy theory, and I was showing people the HR 748 Act, the CARES Act, how it originally wasn't the CARES Act. It was another act before, and it was made into the CARES Act because they wanted to use it to get money out to people. And you would have to go back to the video to cover that. But basically, it was an act that wasn't as important as others that were out there. So they took it and struck everything down that was inside that act and said, look, let's make this the Relief Act, the CARES Act, and get people their money because it's already passed the House, the Senate. It's sat on the calendar. You know, it's already been reviewed. There's probably something I forgot. Let's make this the CARES Act because it's not as important as some of the other stuff we have to deal with right now. That's what I basically covered. But let's see here. But I want to go back to this real quick, and I don't know if I should make a different video on this or not. Basically, my idea about this here is I need to look more into what Trump's dealing is with this. What struck me the hardest was watching the Washington governor live tell people basically that if you don't adhere to the standards that we're going to put in place, I have 300 something National Guardsmen that are waiting. They didn't say this exactly, but this is the way I understood it. And I'm a pretty understanding person. But when it strikes me this way, it's a huge red flag to me. I have 365 National Guardsmen. Oh, by the way, say hi to Lieutenant Colonel or whatever his name was. I don't know if it was a colonel or whoever he was. And then they popped over to a screen, and there's the National Guard, one of the high-ranking officers sitting there saying, hello, yeah, we're going to be working together and all this other stuff. And then it goes back to the governor, and he's basically saying, if you don't adhere to what we're going to put in place, you're going to have to answer to the National Guard. You can't make people take vaccines. You cannot make people do these things and not expect some kind of resistance. Once a political official comes forward and starts threatening to use the military against the people, at that point, it's time to either put up or shut up. Either you're going to shut up and you're going to join the crowd, or you're going to put up and you're going to fight back. 9 times out of 10, most law enforcement and normal people and stuff like that are going to stick together. I would even think a lot of the military would too. I would hope that down in my heart, after everything that military men and stuff stand for and what they've been through and the amount of time that they've given up to do the things that they do, to learn what it's like to be a soldier, regardless of their reasons, they would stand for the people. Now, I can't guarantee that. But to hear him say that just crushed me. The fact that a governor would say, I've got over 1,000 people right now waiting to do these medical this and vaccines that. And of those 1,000, I don't know, 400 people or 500 people, 360, 300 something of them are National Guardsmen willing to do whatever it takes to make sure this process gets taken care of and done completely. That about crushed me. Like, where are we at in our life right now to really do stuff like that to people? Are people really that serious about hurting other people? Are they really that mischievous and sinful and sadistic in their life in general to where they want to do those things to other people? It almost makes me so mad that I feel like I just want to strangle somebody and cry at the same time. Just because, why would you want to do that to somebody? Why would you want to turn somebody's life upside down in that kind of controlling manner and force somebody to possibly eventually end up fighting for their life in a way that in the way that you may not have yours when it's all said and done? I don't understand why our governors and stuff are doing what they're doing. Pritzker. I mean, listen to the stuff that recently came up with him, where the reporters and the interviewers and stuff are saying, hey, You just told everybody that you wanted them to stay inside the state. You would think that traveling and stuff and going to other states and then coming back could possibly bring this virus to us. And it's probably a good idea to stay here. But why was your daughter and your wife up in Wisconsin at the lake home for vacation while you're telling everybody else not to go do that stuff? And his response to it was, well, they left before I said all this, so you didn't know you were going to say it before you said it? You weren't already feeling it to tell your wife and your kids not to go do those things? So you just woke up this morning and you thought, I'm just going to tell everybody not to go visit another state? And that's just popped into your head, and they were just gone several days before that, right? It doesn't work that way. That's not how politics work. That's not how you work. That's not how none of us work. I mean, sure, spur of the moment, I want to go get a burger. I wake up, oh, I'm kind of craving some bacon and eggs this morning. I'm going to go to IHOP. Sure. But not wake up one morning and spur of the moment say, I would highly suggest against going to any other state, and I'm going to shut this down and that down. I'm going to control what you're doing. You don't just do that spur of the moment. And it was just so convenient. Before you said that, your wife and daughter ended up in another state at the vacation home. It makes a lot of sense. Not. So it doesn't. I'm confused about a lot of things. His wife was just, what did she do? Fly down to Florida, and then she flew down to Texas or something like that. And one or two of his family members are supposed to be on the board of Microsoft, or I don't know if it's his sister, or I don't know. And he said, I was watching this part. It wasn't just hearsay. It wasn't even a replay. I was watching it live on our television here. I was sitting in the lunchroom at work, and I had made some of those Nathan's beef hot dogs, and I was sitting there munching on them and drinking some of my Pellegrino. And I was watching it, and one of the reporters stood up and said, while you're telling people that they should keep themselves here in the state and not fly and try to do a bunch of traveling and stuff like that, didn't your wife just fly to Florida and come back? Well, she did, and I try not to talk about family and my political matters and stuff like that, so I'm just not going to answer that or discuss that question right now, please. So, and then he moved on to the next person, like, are you serious? You got caught in something that you could not even answer, and now it's all of a sudden you're not going to talk about your family. You're not going to bring your family into your politics and stuff and move on to the next question as if it was never even asked. Damn it, you're affecting every one of our lives and our families' lives. You're not going to bring your family into it, but yet you want to affect our families' lives? And you don't want to answer a question about why your wife jumped on a flight and flew down to Florida and came back? So it's okay for her to do it, but it's not okay for any of us other people to move around. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'm looking at the comments right now. It won't be hard to force. It will be, you can't fly, work, go to school, shop without proof of vaccination, so they can say they aren't forcing people to be. Well, Kelly, I have a feeling that if it comes down to that, where they're saying you can't buy things, you can't go here, you can't do this, you can't do that if you're not vaccinated, at that point, when they start doing that, that's when all hell will break loose. I don't think that will ever happen. And if they do get to that point, they better be ready for a fight. Because there's a lot of people on edge right now that are really, really ready to roll. There are people right now that are ready to rectify this whole entire situation. They're just anxious to do it. And it's sad, but it's the truth. I don't think that's, I don't want to think that that's going to happen. If that does happen, it's going to be very, very, very bad. Very bad. Why they want to drag this for over a year with $3 trillion stimulus offered by Democrats. I don't understand it. And they want to keep giving money instead of letting people go back to work and making money. And then they're saying that they're not printing money, so it's not devaluing our dollar. They're just giving people fictitious money and they're adding it to our debt ceiling so it doesn't devalue the dollar, when it's going to be almost impossible for us to pull out of it anyway. And a lot of people think China's one of the only ones with a good grasp on their currency and their debt, and they're probably one of the only ones that could bail us out of a situation like this if we got into it. But then they would own us even more than what they already do. I just don't understand any of this, the thought process behind this stuff. It's disgusting, and it doesn't. A lot of it doesn't even solve any issues at all. If you can't buy, sell, or travel without vaccine, is that not mark of the beast? I would think that it is. I would think that that's exactly what it comes down to. When you cannot live your own life and travel freely as a man or woman of your own personal being without having to be forced into taking something, I would think, to me, that's clearly the mark of the beast. People will bring down the system. I agree. I think people are going to bring down. I think it's going to get bad. I honestly think that it's going to get bad, and if they don't stop now, it's going to get real bad. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I don't have any doubt in my mind that at any moment's notice, when I know it's time to fight, I'm ready. I've lived enough of my life, and I'm happy enough with what I've been, the cards I've been dealt over the last 15 years, to where if it was my time to not be here anymore for fighting for something that I believe in, I'm okay with that. I would be all right with that. I don't want it, but I wouldn't second guess it. They're giving money so people don't get desperate, but at the same time, they're teaching people how to live off government subsidiaries. They're teaching people how to take and not want to give. They're teaching people how to be stimulated by monetization that they don't have to work for. If you look at a lot of the unemployed people right now that were living on minimum wage before, bottom of minimum wage, they're basking in the money right now. Literally. The extra money every week, money that they never seen before, $500 extra, a paycheck here and there, buying things that they've never had before. You know, the big majority of them that are seeing somewhat of that relief, I've heard time and time again, like people in public say, I don't even want to go back to work. I'm making so much money right now doing what I do compared to what I was. And doing what I do, meaning nothing, sitting at home, that I don't even want to go back to work. I don't want to even jeopardize the fact that I'm not making the money. You know, the people that are unemployed right now that were coming from minimum wage, they're making substantially more money than what they were before. So this is almost like a raise to them. You know, I was just listening to somebody last weekend say that she didn't even want to think about having to go back to work anytime soon, and she was hoping that her employer would not call her back to go back to work. And she was hoping that Pritzker would keep pushing out this whole rollout thing further and further and further, and taking longer and longer and longer, because that would mean that she would be able to collect more money than what she was collecting before. And it was making my stomach turn, because I was like, are you freaking kidding me? This is really how people think right now? And they were saying, well, we've been telling you for years to raise minimum wage. People aren't raising minimum wage, so they like living off this extra money from the government. Well, when you raise minimum wage to this $15, $16, $17 an hour, A lot of people feel that a lot of jobs would be lost. Well, then we'll just contract it out then if we got to do that. Or we'll start turning to different AI systems to control a lot of stuff so we don't have to have a human body there. But then there's the turn effect to that. I talked to some of my friends and stuff that I game with in Australia. They're saying, well, we have $17, $18 an hour minimum wage here, and we're doing just fine. We don't have AI systems running stuff and computer generated restaurants all over the place. Yeah, they are some places, but our economy ended up stabilizing just fine, and we learned to live that way. Well, when you learned to live that way, did rent not go up? Did utilities and other things in your life not go up? Prices of cell phones and groceries and all? And they said, well, yeah, I mean, the economy always adjusts and moves in one way or another. So you might be benefiting off that $17, $18 an hour minimum wage for so long before other things start to go up. And then when more demand goes up on certain things because you're making more money and you're able to afford more, then the prices go up on what's demanded. So it's kind of like a you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type thing. You know, we went from paying automotive dealers, years and years ago, $70, $80 an hour to $90, $100 an hour. Now it's up to $150 to $175 an hour. As people make more money, the prices of things in life go up as well. That's just how it works. Bill says the corona is a symbol for the sun. Well, I mean, I can kind of see that too, because if you look at the coronavirus in the scope, corona means a crown. So if you look at it in a scope, you can see that the lipid layer around the virus has a ring, and it's a fatty lipid layer with the virus encased inside it. And on one side of it, it has like a little bit of like a bulge, like a crown would be on a head. And it does look like a crown. That's why it's called a crown type virus. And some people would call it like a crown sun or something like that. So I can see how, that would be a good indication of a symbolism, what it is. Sorry, I am saying they are bribing people so they don't revolt. If they didn't, this lockdown would be over. You're right. And right now, with them, the more they bribe people, the more they keep a little bit of money coming their way, the more they feel like they're getting something. The more unemployed people, lower class people that are super suspicious of all this stuff, the really, really sick people that are living off the government and things like that, they're going to be for this lockdown and staying put away and wearing the masks all over the place. They're going to be for this type of behavior because they feel like they're somewhat being taken care of by the government, when they don't realize in all reality, all the government's doing is conditioning them for a government type based, structured and controlled life. And there's a bigger picture and a bigger agenda here, and they don't see it. This is completely true. We are being pacified with money. And when they say, oh, you can collect unemployment, which, say you had a mechanic. I use this reference because I know, I'm a tech. I'm a master tech at a Ford dealer here in Illinois, and I love my job. I absolutely love my job. I love the people I work with. I love being able to fix things and diagnose and dig into things. It's just, with technology changing, I love learning about that as well. But I have to just kind of use tech salary as a reference. So you have a tech, say he makes $2,000 every 2 weeks take home. And that's a decent week, but it's not huge. It's not good and it's not bad. It's just decent. After taxes, he brings home $2,000 every 2 weeks. Now, say that 1 week salary of $1,000, what he brought home, they're going to give him 40 to 45% of what he was making for unemployment. And let's just say, for just argument's sake, that comes out to $400. So he's making $400. And then the stimulus package that ends the end of July comes along, kicks in with it, and says, we're going to give that guy an extra $600 a week. Well, now he's making, you know, 1,000 or maybe it's $600 every 2 weeks. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was $600 every pay period, wasn't it? Like $600 every unemployment check that you get. And if you're getting a check every week, I'm not unemployed. I've never been unemployed. So I've always, even when I didn't have a job, try to work in side jobs and cash and all this other stuff as well. I've never went on unemployment, so I don't know how it works. I know it's supposed to be like $600 every paycheck. Well, we'll just say every paycheck. That guy's now making what he made before when he was actually doing good, pulling 40, 45 hours a week at work. So he's making that $1,000 a week. But now if you have kids involved, if you have a wife that's high risk, if you have kids that are high risk, if you have people in the family that have different medical conditions, there's also a completely different venue that you can tap into for more money. And you can get even more subsidiaries on top of that. And then there's even more assistance programs on top of that. So now you're making what you were making before, if not even more. And then when they drop a $1,200 stimulus check on you that month, now you're making that money as well. It's this very sadistic, kind of complete controlled way that the government's actually making you feel comfortable living on their standards, the way they want you to live, how they want you to live, and people don't see it. You know, I'm losing tons of money right now. I could walk out of my job right now and go say I want to be on unemployment because of how much my workload has been cut. And I could convince them to put me on unemployment, and I would make damn good money. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to live off that money. I still go into work, and I still hope that I'm going to make some kind of hours that day working on somebody's vehicle, and things are picking up. Right. So $600 a week unemployment plus the $600 a week the government's adding in. That's a lot of money. You know, that's the salary of a tech that pulls 50 to 60 hours every week, and he's really busting his butt. But then say you get laid off, or you get furloughed, or this pandemic pops up, or pandemic, whatever you want to call it, and they're adding in the $600 plus the unemployment and stuff like that. Why even go back to work at that point? Why not just keep doing what you're doing? Just stay at home, live off of whatever the government has for you, because they think that they know what's best for you. It's not your body, it's not your life, it's theirs, and they want to show you exactly what you can get out of them by letting them have control of it. Well. Good old Stockholm in the house. Greetings. I wish we weren't locked down. I tell you what. We are social beings. If they did not have the internet to pacify us during lockdown, it would have. Yeah, you know, that's completely correct. You know, it makes sense, Kelly. I mean, it makes complete sense, and that's how I would be too if I was him. But it's just sad. It's sad that it has come to that. Social distancing deletes our immune system, the worst thing they're promoting. I get that. I get that you want that transfer of streptococcal, streptococcal, and stuff like that. You want that bacteria transfer. You want people to be able to interact with other people to help build the immune system and stuff like that. But what I don't get is, I don't get how the government is so set on this. What did Governor Cuomo just say not too long ago? And he was quoted on air saying that 66% of the new people that are testing positive for the coronavirus are people that have been at home, staying at home, that are getting sick, and they're basically breeding the coronavirus into their own homes. People not getting out, getting in the sun, being active and things like that. But then people, you know, this gentleman today was asking me the question. He says, well, if that's the case, how did they even get it to begin with? They were out in public, right? Well, if that's the case, why were they at home for so long and they still have it? And it's supposed to go through a 14-day incubation period. I mean, I get that they would have got it from public, but how do you get rid of it if you're stuck in a home, not doing anything, not in the sun, not being active, barely going out, not having any kind of interaction with other people? That's not how your body fights it. They may have got it from being outside, but they're not going to get rid of it from staying in their home. Maybe there's a small percentage of that that's true through that 14-day period. But if you have multiple people coming in and out of your house all the time, you can't pinpoint where it's coming from. You don't know who has it. It's best to just go out and be active, be in the sun, try to be as healthy as possible. Quit eating all the damn cakes and sugar and breads and pastas and rices and all this other bullshit that does nothing but tear up people's immune systems to begin with. I see it's a perfect world for people to stay sick right now. It's a perfect world to build up more people with sickness to end up in the ER, the intensive, or not the intensive care, but the doctor's offices and stuff like that. Because what are people doing? Bread, pasta, rice, ramen noodles, ordering takeout, fast food every single day, Ubers in and out of the apartment complex here all the time with Uber Eats and all this other stuff. Yeah, you're really trying to protect yourself from any kind of virus by eating all that. It's nothing but straight shit. You're not going to do nothing. You're going to do nothing but destroy your immune system and make things more complicated if you do have the virus by eating that way. They know exactly what they're doing right now. They know people are going to be at home eating their ice creams and their McDonald's and Burger King and the local taco joints and Chinese places are going to be delivering. They know exactly what they're doing. It's a breeding ground for sickness. Most of the time when you can go out with your family and do all this other stuff, at least families would go out to a dinner at Olive Garden or something like that, Texas Roadhouse, eat some good quality meat, some veggies, potatoes, whatever it is, and they were getting more whole-based foods. But now they're at home, they're depressed and they're anxious and they're eating comfort foods and everything else and baking. There's no baking powders at the store, no baking. It's a breeding ground for sickness, and they don't see the bigger picture. I mean, I make right at about the same as what he does, typically, and I work hard for that though. Like I'll get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'll be to work by 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I'll work until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night every single day, and then sometimes even going in on Saturdays. And that's about what I make, but I could never. I couldn't say never. I'm doing all right now. I'm honestly, I went from making that to half of that a week, and I've managed myself so well. I don't have a mortgage payment and credit card bills and a car payment and all this other stuff because all my stuff is paid off. I've been able to do that without going on unemployment to just sustain and stay active. So far I'm good because I'm not taking care of a family. Angie's still working. I'm still working. Her brother's still working. So we're okay. For the most part, we're good. The people gave the government the ability to take them over. The people run to ask government to make laws that affects personal choices. They invited the devil in. That's true though. You're not lying. That's very true. And that's the sad part about it. The sad part about it is this is what we've bred. The fact that all of us fight so much and we can't agree on anything, and we've got our different ideas on what we want to happen in the world, and it's just a number of issues that have compounded that have led to this. And it's a society that we've bred all this, and we need to stop it. We need to get these people that are in charge of everything, that have so much power over everything, out of it. We need to get the Bill Gates get him out of the medical system, get him out of our lives, get him out of any kind of decisions that are made. We need to get these Faucis and just government in general, Pritzkers and stuff. We need to get them out of our lives completely. These are people that don't need to be involved in our day-to-day activities and dictating what we do and our health and stuff like that. We need a huge change. We need a change in everything. You know, a lot of people don't understand what I do outside of here. Some of these people do, but some don't. Um, is I like to look at a lot of the government recommendations and standards and stuff that have been put in place for us from the beginning of time, and we've always had this weird, complete sadistic way of approaching people's health and their lives in general, all the way back to like the 1800s and stuff, when you had like Seventh Day Adventists that were trying to dictate what the best diet was for the world. Um, all because of Robert Kellogg and what's her name, the lady at the church, the Seventh Day Adventist lady, that thought the reason why boys were evil and had tendencies to try to masturbate was because of the type of meat they were eating gave them this urge um, to do these things, and that meat was a sin and you needed to eat an all vegan based diet just like the rest of the Seventh Day Adventists. And Kellogg's cornflakes were birthed. We have this terrible trash grain cereal that's put out in front of people because of these ideologies that eventually end up turning into government recommendations down the road to show that a vegan or vegetarian based diet is more healthy and causes people to live longer, paid for, skewed statistics by medical organizations that are bought and paid for by the government and everything else. I mean, it's just a big, large, twisted way of looking at everything. There was never any real scientific study that was done on the diet heart hypothesis that proved animal fats caused cancer and heart disease and all this other stuff. None of that stuff was ever really done. There was no real study that was ever done on any of that to prove any of that stuff. It was all survey-based studies and pushed studies that were funded by Monsanto and all these other people, and the Procter and Gambles of the world, or the Halliburtons of the world, these big giant companies and organizations that have enough money to put in these scientists and doctors' pockets and these government officials' pockets to make them believe all the nonsense and the junk that we've been buying for the last 150 years. Just complete trash stuff. Right? It's, where have you ever, in the beginning of time, you've never seen anybody not be able to eat nutrient dense foods. Animal products were always above and beyond the most nutrient dense, well sought out foods available to human beings. Then you start coming the mid 1800s, when different types of religions and thinking processes and cult like behaviors and stuff started becoming more and more of a thing. Then we start having skewed statistics being put out and people talking like snakes to the public to try to get them to believe their silver tongue. And then all of a sudden things change. But before that, people were eating real animal fats, lard, eggs, real homemade breads if they were making breads from stuff that wasn't highly GMO'd, whole vegetables and things of that nature. And you didn't see people with diabetes. You didn't see people with cancers and all that stuff back then because they were eating more natural type foods. They weren't screwed with by the government and big companies and stuff like Monsanto. And then you get government organizations and you get doctors and stuff, and you get a bunch of money on the table, and they're like, okay, so you want to pay me $1 million. Back then was a lot of money. You want to pay me $1 million to tell people that canola oil is heart healthy? Okay, done. Canola oil is heart healthy. We're going to write up a whole segment on it to prove it. Oh, you want to pay me to say cottonseed oil and grapeseed oil, all that stuff's healthy? Well, seed oils in general, they typically have to be pressurized under some kind of heat or chemically extracted or something like that. Hydrogenated oils, margarines, country crock, parquet, all that freaking junk that's hydrogenated vegetable oil, all that stuff is crap. It's all unnatural fats that have been pushed and approved by the government for long, long periods of time, and people don't even realize it. That's all junk. But people eat it because the government says it's healthy. There's activism here in Illinois, because Illinois used to be one of the biggest, most productive processors of animal beef and stuff in general throughout this entire region. And they have companies here, or they have protesting organizations here that are active that you don't see, that I see pop up on Facebook every once in a while. But it's been like a year or so since I've seen any. I don't know if they've just kind of dissipated and disappeared or not. But these are, the type of people that are paid by organizations like PETA, stuff like that. It's ridiculous the amount of people that would believe and feed into this type of stuff. I went on an all animal-based diet for 17 months straight. My LDL dropped down to 89. My HDL went up to 64. My triglycerides dropped down to like 48. And my vitamin D was a little low, but I fixed that by supplementing 10,000 IU of vitamin D every day with probably close to 300 or 400 micrograms of vitamin K2, because the two got to be put together. And I quit listening to my doctor. I went in an all meat-based diet, eating plenty of organs. I'm talking kidney, liver, lamb heart, beef, chicken, real butter, like the real stick butter. And I stopped listening to any of the government standards. I quit listening to the VA. I quit listening to all that stuff. And I lost a ton of weight, man. And I felt really good, but I was still overweight. My doctor was like, how are you so healthy, even at the weight that you are? And I was like, because I quit listening to you guys. I quit listening to your recommendations. I quit listening to all that junk. I eat bioavailable foods that my body can process very efficiently. And I seen early on that a lot of the government standards, the medical standards, the standards in general that are put out by people that are over us are just complete freaking trash, man. They don't care about you. They want you coming back. They want you taking medications. They want you with the insulin injections and the metformin, and they want you coming back for your pills every week, your Zoloft and your Ritalin and your whatever it is, the antidepressants, and then Coumadin and all this other stuff that they have to keep going back for all the time, and they end up getting hooked on it, and it's crazy, and they know what they're doing. Have you seen the video of Alan saying we don't have the right to not take the test and refuse the vaccine? I haven't seen that. But if he really means that, I could give him a piece of my mind to tell him what I think about what he really means, and then beg him to make me take the test. Please do it. Please, somebody do it. I'd love to. I'd love to have somebody try to make me take one of these tests or vaccines or something like that. I don't know that I'd remember what happened, because I would probably go absolutely apeshit. But anyhow, we went long enough, guys. I don't want to hold you guys to keep hearing me talk about things in life and stuff in general. Maybe one of these nights coming up, I'll just lay it all out on the table from A to Z on what I think. But it's been a long video so far, and I spoke about what I wanted to speak about in the beginning. And again, it's just an educational video, more along the lines of showing you how easy it is to have things misconstrued or presented the wrong way. And that's it. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you all being here tonight. I'll be doing these more, not often, but more, because I know people can get overwhelmed with hearing the same face over and over again, but I don't mind talking sometimes. So we'll be back here again soon. Maybe a couple days, maybe like Thursday or Friday. Cover something new, spend some time. Thanks, guys. I appreciate every one of you. God bless you. Take care. I love you all. Thanks for being here. We're gonna get through this one way or another.